thank you all for coming, and it's so good to see you. I've seen several times before, and some the first time. I'm an introvert, so if I was avoiding you, don't take it personally, okay? I'm a local here in Asheville, born and raised here. I love what I do, making things by my hands, just my love language. I will start off by telling you how I got into art. Back in 1972 was a time that really, I still see that day to this day. That'll age me, but doesn't matter. I'm 52, I don't care. I love being 52. But it was a moment I never forget. There were I lived where we all were at my grandmother's house at the time, and police came in and raided the house. They arrested my mom. My dad was already on the run. I was the youngest of four, and I wasn't in school, so that was something I never can erase out my head. That was the time my mom left. We were going to be sent to child custody, and we were going to be separated. My grandma decided she would take us in. Take in mind, my grandmother was born in 1906. She had 14 children of her own. She was the first black woman in Western North Carolina to have triplets. And she decided, I'm not going to let those kids be separated, so she took us in. Growing up, I kind of thought, oh my God, why? But I wouldn't be the person I am today. So I just remembered then, like, not being able to talk about what happened. So I would just I found out I could just pencils, and I was writing on the walls. And I got in trouble, but I still was writing on them. My grandmother would go to the Winn-Dixie, I don't know if y'all remember that, but they used to sell these check sodas, and she would have these like cases of empty boxes, and I just started like making doll houses. I would go outside and grab grass and different little things, and I decided to create my own space. I didn't realize at the time that was my place of a safe place for me. So building things, making things, I would take my dolls, because we got dolls on Christmas time. It's the only time we got a doll. And I hated the way they were dressed because they had the same clothes on. So I would take their little clothes off and find some old clothes and make my own clothes. My grandmother wasn't like this lovey-dovey woman. She was stern, and she ran the house. My grandfather was there, but Grandma ran the house. And that's probably why I'm a little way I am today. But she would, and like I said, the girls slept in the same bed. My brother slept in a separate bed. My grandmother, and the house was kind of old. We actually lived in a house on Cleveland Avenue. Y'all should be familiar with Cleveland Avenue. The house was there, and we had like an old cellar in the bottom. That was where my grandfather would, that's where the furnace was. And so there was this coal company that would come and drop the coal down in there, and that's how we stayed warm. Also, my grandmother would take old fabrics and shirts and things that we couldn't wear, and she would piece them together, cut them, and create quilts. She couldn't see that good, so I would have to thread the needle. That's how I learned how to sew with thread and needle. Like I said, that was like the start of getting everything done. She had chickens, and I created this painting called Grandma Helen. My grandmother would wear these dusters, these dresses, kind of look like what I got on now. And she wore these knee highs, but she never pulled them all the way up. She tied these knots in the bottom of them. And I remember saying, and she never wore a bra. Only time my grandma wore bras when she had to go to the doctor. But so y'all can just imagine what that looked like. But I still don't know why she didn't want a bra. But anyway, it was just remembering her and she dipped snuff. And I don't know if any of y'all know what snuff is. She dipped this stuff called square snuff. And we would have to go, at the time, kids could go to the store and buy tobacco. And she would send us to the store, and I hated going to buy snuff because I didn't want nobody. She's like, well, you come back in with this square snuff. And then they didn't have square. Well, she would send us back to the store. Well, you go get that Gale next, don't come back with that sweet snuff, which I don't know what snuff was. So a little quick story about that. My sister, she's passed away now, but she decided one day, she's like, Jenny, come on, we're going to go and try this snuff. They would talk me into anything. And so we would hide behind the house, and she said, okay, let's take this. My grandmother, when she had it in her mouth, it looked like Tootsie Roll. So I didn't know what it tasted. Oh, that was the worst stuff I'd ever put in my mouth. It was awful. So I still don't know why she dipped it, but she did. And then as we later moved on to Cumberland Avenue, which the house that was there that we lived in was still there. She taught us to garden. We had to pick beans. We had to just pretty much took care of the house. Hang clothes. We'd have to stand up and clothes. We were so short. We had to stand up in chairs and hang clothes out because she was not sitting at home doing anything. The reason why I'm bringing my grandmother up is because she had a different type of love. Like I said, she wasn't a touchy-feely person. She never hugged us. I don't even remember ever having a birthday party. We just didn't have things like that. But my brothers and sisters, we were close because it was just us. We would walk to school, make songs up and sing. Everything we did together. So we walked to the store. Actually, on Cumberland Avenue, we pretty much been in every house over in that neighborhood because we were just like wanderers, and we made friends with people, and the community was so together. They were grapevines and apple trees and cherry trees, and we were known to climb your tree and get your apples and your grapes. That's just what we did. So, and we got a little taste of the switch for that. If y'all don't know what the switch is, that goes, everybody knows what the switch is. My grandma kept one of those. Matter of fact, she would make us go out and get one. And if it wasn't big enough, she'd send us right back out there and get another one. But my grandmother, the reason I talk about her so much is she could have done anything. And for her to take us in, that meant a whole lot. And I later found out my grandmother herself, her mother died when she was young. So she had to go live with somebody else to raise her. And it made me think about the sacrifice she took, the love she gave us, and it was a different type of love. It was to make sure that we slept in the bed every night, we were warm, we were fed, we were clothed, we were going to church, we had community, we had family. That's the house that Sundays you can definitely smell fried chicken and cornbread because that's what she always fixed. So that brings back to the memory of, so my mom was released from prison and she came to visit back in 75. And she spent 3 days with us. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't know anything. I just was glad to see her. I can still remember the meal we had that night. And that morning, my mom got in a cab and she left. And I haven't seen her since. So I just got into this thing where I was always creating. It just made me feel so good to make things and give to people. So as in school, I would make drawings, and that's how I made friends, because I wasn't a verbal person. I didn't know how to share or talk to people, because I didn't get it at home. So my thing was to be creative. And so that's when the dolls came in. I resurfaced with the dolls again. My niece, back in 2016, was murdered, and she was pregnant and had her son with her. He was shot and lost his eye. And I was at work that day, and I thought, what is her mom thinking? What is my brother thinking? Just all these emotions came back up because I'm so big about mothers and children and family. And so I started to redo my dolls again. And I thought I would name them Candy Lane. And they're named after her because her name was Candace Elaine Pickens. And I got into the Big Crafty thanks to my son. And to be there at that first time there, and people coming up, touching my dolls, telling me stories about what dolls were to them growing up. The fabrics I use, I make sure that each doll has a different skin tone so that it connects with everybody. They don't have faces, as you can see, and that's a personal thing I chose to do, simply because it's for the person who, when you see the doll, you'll know that the love is there, and you'll know what you want to see in the doll. I love making dolls. I love painting, and if you notice, you'll see anything I paint has to do with a woman. It's a mother. It's always me trying to figure out, if I saw my mom today, what would she look like? So you'll notice there's skin tones, there's hair, there's all these things I would want to imagine what she looks like. So mostly my dolls are women. It's nothing personal. It's just, I'm a woman, so, so I just love, like I said, I go into schools now. My first art teacher in kindergarten was Miss Portia Mapp. And that lady walked in that room in kindergarten. And like I said, my grandmother was like, you wake up with a crayon, you go to bed with a crayon. And it used to frustrate her. And so my art teacher was just like dancing. She was just like this, just had this kind of, I don't know, this personality that just smiling all the time. And she saw my art and she just fell in love. And she encouraged me all the time. So I just continued to do it. And I back in 2017, she actually came to one of my art exhibits. And that was the most, I'm telling you, I told her, I said, you're the reason why I'm doing what I do. Because I had that person that to touch me and in my heart, and she didn't know what I was going through at home, but she made it safe for me to be at school and be creative. So my dolls, like I say, they all tell a story. My art tells a story. Anything I touch, I put love in it. I go into schools and work with kids. I didn't go to college, and someone told me, you shouldn't be telling people that, which is fine, but I think you need to know. But I do go into schools, and I try to give back as far as being how I was, that young person with so much going on home, but having someone to be creative. And I think everybody in the world is an artist. All you're doing is giving these tools, and you're just using them. You're taking your feelings and putting it down on canvas, paper, or surface, or through your hands. So everybody's an artist. I also worked with senior citizens because I felt like I didn't get a chance to tell my grandma. Grandma passed away 7 days before I turned 16. So I had to take on the role of taking care of home. And I never got to tell her thank you. So now I give back to seniors, I give back to kids because I feel like it's my purpose to do that. I took a leap of faith a few years ago and decided people I worked for did not appreciate the work I did not appreciate the passion I had for my work. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a leap of faith and just do my own thing. I left the makeup counter at Estee Lauder, and I've been blessed to be able to have work ever since that day I left that counter. So, thank you. So my thing is about touch. Touch is not necessarily feeling things and the softness or the texture. It's about how you touch a person's heart, how you touch someone's life, how you are in touch with someone and in touch with yourself. So, with that being said, I really do thank you all for coming out here and hearing a little part of my story, because there is so much to tell, and this is to give you a reason why I do what I do, and I'm unapologetic for painting and drawing and making things that's culturally related to me, okay? Because I love being a black woman. I love this beautiful brown skin I'm in. I love these achy knees. I love this gray hair because I've earned every strand. And just thank y'all. And just follow me, Jenny Pickens 616, and let's become friends. All right.
All right. Give it up, Jenny Pickens. Yes.